to Tonight, the comedy show where Americans in America covering American news are called foreign agents. Yes, thank you. It's good to be with fellow foreign agents. You probably already heard that last week the monsters crushing anti-establishment and anti-corporate voices took some steroid injections right in the gonads, or the vaginas. 800 pages were banned from Facebook last week without so much as a warning. But if you're the mainstream media, then you would say these were 800 spam accounts. These were not real pages. But the truth is, of those 800, many were legitimate journalistic enterprises like Anti-Media, Free Thought Project, Police the Police, and Cop Block. Other pages were just heavily restricted. For example, the anti-censorship social media platform Minds.com can no longer be shared on Facebook. And if you're even thinking about Minds, Facebook will fill your timeline with photos of your ex's wedding. It's awful. And images of people exactly 10 pounds lighter than you. This is a full frontal crushing of dissident voices. Let's find out what's going on, and let's get it directly from the sources. Anti-Media's Twitter account said, quote, oh, sorry, suspended. That's weird. Okay, sorry about that. Let's go to editor-in-chief of Anti-Media, Carrie Wedler. She's a great writer. She's done some really important work. Anyway, as she boldly stated on her Twitter account, what in God's name is going on? Oh, I get it. I was going crazy with some sort of conspiracy theory, but this is not a theory. It's just a conspiracy. Facebook conspired with Twitter to shut down a large swath of alternative and independent media on the same day. And because they thought doing that might drive people to other anti-censorship platforms, they also banned links to Minds.com. Oh, cool. This is like a full-on fascist takeover of thought, but in like a cool new information age, you know? It's fun for the whole kids. Rockin'. But let's dig a little deeper. What is Mark Zuckerberg thinking? Well, there's the fact he was clearly thinking of running for president. How do I know that? Well, okay, think of it. What do you need to run for president? You need loads of money to buy the presidency. Check. You need to pretend to be religious. Oh, but Zuckerberg is an atheist. No, wait. Recently, he found religion. Ah, thank goodness. Turns out it was right under the couch cushions all along. Okay, so money check, religion check. You need a good social media presence. I heard he has a strong Facebook page. Or all of the Facebook pages. And then finally, you need to pretend to give a shit about the American people. That might be a little harder. Oh, wait, Zuckerberg went on a year-long listening tour in 2017, where he traveled to all 50 states. Okay, but someone who is truly running for president goes to Iowa specifically, and he did not, oh wait, he toured Iowa's small towns. He visited Wilton Candy Kitchen, chatting with the mayor. I'm not sure if they mean the mayor of the Candy Kitchen, but whatever. But still, if he were really running for president, he would surround himself with dip-terrific partisan leeches, because the cost of hiring them to Zuckerberg is like the cost of a pack of Skittles. Oh, wait. Zuckerberg and his wife, Priscilla Chan, hired Joel Benenson, a Democratic pollster, advisor to Barack Obama, and chief strategist of Hillary Clinton's 2016 campaign. The pair also hired David Plouffe, campaign manager for Obama's 2008 presidential run, Amy Dudler, former communications advisor for Senator Tim Kaine, and Ken Mellman, who directed George W. Bush's 2004 campaign. Oh man, that is a rash of dipshit. All right, that is a flared up, downright a fucking infection is what that is. But wait, there's more. Soon after hiring the Hack Squad, Facebook partnered with the Atlantic Council, an offshoot of NATO. The Atlantic Council's list of sponsors includes war profiteering defense contractors, agencies aligned with Washington and the Pentagon, Gulf Arab tyrants, major transnational corporations, and such well-loved philanthropic brands as Carnegie, Koch, Rockefeller, and Soros. Man, that sounds like a fun hot tub party right there, you know? Anytime Soros and the Kochs get together, things get pretty kinky, all right? Let's just say the next day your cock will be Soros, all right? Because they know how to Rockefeller. It had to be done. Whether Mark Zuckerberg wants to run for president in 2020 or 2024, it doesn't really matter. Point is, he's currently proving himself to the deep state, who pull the strings of our puppet presidents. Yeah. He is. He's saying to them, hey guys, you're scared of social movements? I'll crush them for you. You're scared of police accountability? I'll crush those who reveal police brutality. You just let me know what flavor of censorship you prefer. The partnership between Facebook and the Atlantic Council is an attempt to ensure the grip of dominant imperialist powers who feel threatened by the unrestricted flow of information. It can't be overstated how powerful Facebook has been in the information revolution. Whether you hate Facebook or love it, the truth is, without Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, there would have been no Occupy Wall Street, no Black Lives Matter, no Fight for 15, no Bernie Sanders movement, no distracted boyfriend movement. These awakenings grew because people had social media to spread them. And who benefits when these movements grow? With Occupy, it's the victims of the big banks. With Black Lives Matter, it's the victims of police brutality. With Fight for 15, it's the countless wage slaves across the country. With Distracted Boyfriend, it's the plain-looking girlfriends everywhere, all right? There are plenty of plain-looking boyfriends, too, if, you know, it's a gay relationship or plain-looking lesbian, whatever it is. But seriously, it is the victims of the corporate takeover who benefit from a strong and healthy freedom of speech. Now is the time to stand up against this censorship while simultaneously building up other platforms like Steemit or Minds. If we don't fight for freedom of speech and privacy now, it will be lost forever. Seriously. Don't sit there. Just go. Somebody tweet about it or something. Tweet about it, quick. Coming to you from Washington, D.C., the Belly of the Beast. This is Redacted Tonight.
Let's roll, never get their control. They got their money, but we've got our soul. Let's roll, never get their control. They got their money, but we've got our soul.
Welcome, I'm Lee Camp. Now let's take the news from behind. Facebook dissident voices are not the only thing being purged. I myself had an eggplant dish last night, which had to be purged. I mean, the words egg and plant should never be together. It's disgusting. It's as appetizing as that fruit I had once, dingleberries. Not good. But on top of the great Facebook purge, our nation's voter rolls have also been purged before the upcoming midterms. Journalist Greg Palast has been able to find out how much purging has happened in some areas of the country. 591,000 knocked off in Georgia. 469,000 kicked off the rolls in Indiana. 554,000 in Illinois. Brian Kemp, who is running for governor down in Georgia, where the most people have been criminally kicked off the rolls. And Brian Kemp also has the job of deciding who gets kicked off the rolls. But he has nothing to hide, all right? Greg Palast asked him about the 1 in 10 purged voters, mostly people of color, asked him to his face, and Kemp kindly took the time to explain the situation.
Mr. Kemp, are you removing black voters from the voter rolls just so you can win this election? Sir, why are you purging voters from the voter rolls? There's children. Okay, has some decency. Sir, why aren't you answering my questions?
How dare he ask the black people why the black people are being purged in front of a white man's grandkids? If those young children hear that question, they may find out the truth about our fraudulent democracy, and what then? All right? Huh? What then? They may even learn that racism exists. And the entire reason all those white people on Brian Kemp's campaign don't allow any black people near them is so that their children won't have to see the ugliness of racism. They ban black people so as to not be racist. Plus, when you watch that video, you may see a corrupt politician avoiding important questions, but I see a hardworking man. All right? For example, do you know how hard it is to knock all the black people off the rolls when the voter registration doesn't even say whether the person is black or not? You have to guesstimate their blackosity by whether they live in a black area or whether they have a black-sounding name. It's labor-intensive. Thank you, Brian Kemp, for showing us what hard work really looks like. If you want to find out whether you have been purged, check out GregPalast.com. He's doing some real work over there. But speaking of hard work, it appears we've all been working pretty hard to wipe out all of the insects on the planet Earth, which is one of my top 5 favorite planets. It is. I used to like it. It used to be a number 1, but now it's gotten kind of crowded. Even the corporate media has noticed a new study that shows massive insect loss. The Washington Post said in 2014, an international team of biologists estimated that in the past 35 years, the abundance of invertebrates, such as beetles and bees, has decreased by 45%. A study last year showed a 76% decrease in flying insects in German nature preserves. Yes, I mean we've all seen it. I'm not even a scientist, and I noticed the beetles had decreased by 50% years ago. But this is probably pesticides. But this is serious. We need insects to feed to our snakes, which we need to feed to Kellyanne Conway. All right. Got to get those to Kellyanne Conway. She's a very finicky eater. She is. But not to worry. This insect loss is only happening in Germany, right? Well, actually, this week, a new study in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences shows that this startling loss of insect abundance extends to the Americas. The study's authors implicate climate change in the loss of tropical invertebrates. This is bullshit. Because this means we're the same as Germany, and that is not true. We are very funny. The Germans have no sense of humor whatsoever. Also, since World War II, the Germans have refused to go to war. We love going to war. We love war so much, we our pants every time we walk inside the store Target. And finally, Germans love soccer, and they often, or at least sometimes, win the World Cup. We suck in the World Cup. Even the U.S. soccer team doesn't admit they play soccer. They like wear little bow ties and tell people their cleats are tap shoes in hopes of one day getting laid. But apparently the study is right. It's not just the Germans who have lost 3/4 of all their insects. It's us too. Hey, Washington Post, do you have a video that could explain what's going on and also treat us like we're 4 years old? You do? Awesome.
Do you remember being in the car as a kid and watching bug after bug get squashed on the windshield? Does it seem like that happens less often these days? Turns out it might be because there are simply fewer bugs. In 2016, researchers found on average 76% fewer flying insects by weight in German nature reserves than there were in 1989. That's a lot of missing insects.
Exactly. We need to save the bugs so we can watch their little colorful bodies explode on our windshields. That was apparently the only example that woman could come up with of what bugs used to do. They also pollinate our food, dispose of our waste, act as a food source for many larger animals, and and basically keep the entire cycle of life going on this planet. But mainly they cover your car's windshield in a brownish goo, making family vacations quite dreary. Using that as an example of what bugs are is like saying, hey son, do you remember that woman who used to yell at you when you spilt your milk on the floor? You called her mama. Yeah, well, a new report says there's been a 100% decrease in her because she found a guy who appreciates her more than I do and notices when she gets a haircut. But yes, this is serious because when the bugs die, we die. And according to the study, the bugs are dying because of climate change. For those of you wondering what climate change is, I'll give it to you like the Washington Post would. Do you remember when you were younger and the planet was not as hot? And now your stick to your leg more often? That's called hotter. And multiple reports now say we have 11 years to severely change our societies or else our goose is cooked. And by goose I mean geese. And by geese I mean us. Even the... Thank you for your moderately reluctant clapping. Even the mainstream media has begun to notice that huge reductions in meat eating are essential to avoid dangerous climate change. Beef consumption needs to fall by 90% and be replaced by 5 times more beans and pulses. Long story short, our ecosystems on this planet are failing, and we need to completely alter our societies to keep going, such as eating 90% less meat. Because if we don't, not only do we die, but the insects die, and then what will we watch splat across the windshield, huh? We have to go to a quick break, but I have live comedy shows coming up all across California, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Santa Cruz, San Diego. Go to redactedcore.com for tickets and details. Also, you can join our live audience right here. Watch what you think. We'll be right back with a lot more. Welcome back. The National Park Service is considering new restrictions for protesters in D.C., including charging fees for events. You remember the I Have a Dream speech? Well, now MLK would have had to put some of the dream on layaway. Here for more, our protester, Naomi Garibaldi. Naomi, doesn't this go against the basic tenets of American freedom of speech?
Well, Lee, talk ain't cheap anymore. Now there will be a protest permit application fee. And face it, American tradition has changed. If you want to make a point now, send in a drone. Not only will it get over the new White House sidewalk closures, but also the government will know that you mean what you say about peace in the Middle East.
Also, you'll probably get shot in the face.
Well, you're still welcome to come to D.C. and raise your fists in solidarity with minimum wage workers, as long as there is a Visa or MasterCard in that fist.
No, if you charge for protesting, that robs the poor of speech, or even the middle class of speech, and therefore citizenship and humanity. We have approached an era where only those with money have a say. It's really...
Cash or credit for that speech, Lee?
Seriously? Do you take Bitcoin?
Socialists and their bitcoins. Of course we do. The president is so unpopular now that the National Park Service can't afford to cater to all the angry people. The fees will cover the barricades, the Park Service overtime, planting new grass, fertilizer for the grass, the grooming of the grass, ruthlessly ravaged by environmentalist Birkenstocks. Dirt patch over there.
When fascism comes to America, it will come in the name of landscaping, all right?
Don't worry, Lee. The Bill of Rights will now be replaced with the Turf Management Plan, penned by the National Park Service founding fathers. Don't worry, Lee. Sing with me.
What?
We shall overcome the cover charge. We shall
Protesters are not corporate-sponsored events. This is the opposite.
it's not only American grass that is at stake here, okay? The Park Service intends to establish restricted zones at the memorials on the National Mall to preserve an atmosphere of contemplation. I need my full mental capacity to get a selfie Lincoln's crotch. And so does the man taking pictures of women's crotches there, which a judge ruled was within his rights.
Step-sitters, including Judy Hanna, say they're shocked by the ruling, jokingly calling it a lesson in protecting your personal privacy.
The moral of the story is always wear pants.
That is a sad statement.
Where do we turn? The ACLU or something?
Lee, don't get your panties in a bunch, because then that guy will photograph them. The ACLU actually agrees with the proposed maximum permit period of 30 days for vigils and demonstrations because, well, they have never organized protests. And if you can't sing a war to end, then go home and choose a more important cause, like lawnmower accidents. Honor those brave men and women who cut themselves for their beautiful grass lawns. I salute you, citizens.
Now we get everybody! Moving on, yet another iconic American brand is going bankrupt, but the reasons are more complicated than you think. To break this down, let's go to redacted correspondent John F. O'Donnell.
Sears, the 125-year-old iconic American business, the retail giant that survived the Great Depression and 2 world wars, has filed for bankruptcy. Now where am I going to get all the stuff I already don't buy from Sears? Where am I going to get a Craftsman tool made up of 7 tools I don't know how to use, which makes me feel like a tool? Screw you for my inadequacies, Sears!
Not cool, man. Not cool.
I'm sorry, that was not cool. Tens of thousands of hardworking people are going to lose their jobs, and that sucks. The truth is, Sears has been losing billions of dollars and closing hundreds of stores for a number of years now. So beyond the rise of Amazon and e-commerce, what exactly happened? According to the Sears CEO, retiree pensions are killing us, not online shopping. Oh, blame it on the retirees! Classy move! You know, the folks who gave decades of their lives to your company, pretending to be excited about selling non-stick pans to dough-faced suburbanites or whatever. Now these workers have the audacity to not want to be impoverished in their 70s? F them! Hey, is there a fiery anti-establishment economist who can see through this bullshit?
So the way this is being played in the media is, we've been too generous with these working people. The past politicians were too good-hearted and gave you... What? There was no good heart about this. This was a negotiation in which the employees gave up wage increases to get the pension.
Thanks for that, Professor Richard Wolff. I've never been so terrified of somebody I completely agree with. Oh, by the way, the guy steering the ship at Sears is Eddie Lampert. He just stepped down as CEO and became the chairman, but everybody knows he's been calling the shots for years and will continue to do so. Luckily, his background is doing mergers for Goldman Sachs, so I'm sure he's been running the company quite sensibly.
Is radically different from really any retailer. It's much more, as we say in the piece, kind of like a hedge fund. Instead of an integrated model where, all the different divisions are supposed to work together and under the same leaders, they're almost like autonomous businesses.
Ah, he runs it like a hedge fund. Each division is like an autonomous business. Which means he's purposefully structured the company in such a way that facilitates selling off its most valuable assets at the expense of running the business efficiently. You see, in 2005, Lampert merged Sears with Kmart, loaded both up with debt, and used some of the debt on stock buybacks to pump up the share price and enrich shareholders, notably himself and his hedge fund. Lampert's hedge fund also became a prime lender to Sears, making money off of commissions and interest charges, as well as being a prime shareholder. The strategy ensures that the fund and its beneficiaries, including Lampert himself, get rich, even if they run Sears into the ground. Have you ever seen The Producers, where the premise is it's more profitable to create a flop than a hit? That's what's going on here. The Sears bankruptcy has become springtime for Hitler. If vulture capitalist Eddie Lampert was Hitler and springtime was an overly aggressive makeup counter situation. Okay, maybe that analogy isn't perfect, but understand, Lampert has maliciously financially engineered the company to the point where bankruptcy most likely doesn't mean a chance at restructuring, it means liquidation with him and his hedge fund first in line to snatch up the assets. I mean, we all see the blatant conflict of interest here, right? It's crazy! This is like the worst remake of The Producers ever! Reporting from a soon-to-be abandoned Sears, John F. O'Donnell, redacted tonight.
Here are your headlines from the future. 3 weeks from now, you'll learn. Wall Street celebrates as new numbers show U.S. wage slavery at all-time high. And this coming Monday, mainstream media hastily discovering Saudi Arabia a thing. And 1 week from today, Joe Biden said to already be planning failed presidential bid. That's our show, but check out my free weekly podcast.